All right, in your part 3, your third project, you are going to be doing some simple animations in Wevideo. Now, what you will be doing is your KHS Office project, the second one you did, is what you're going to animate. And remember, for each staff member we put in, we have a picture and some static text. And there's a reason we had to have static text. So let's go ahead and show you how to animate the picture first. So the easiest thing to do is in your timeline, just double click on the image. It'll open up the properties. Now, the tab you want is the animation tab. It kind of looks like 3 little slides on top of each other, so click on that. So here's what this is going to do for us. You can see that we have a start and we have an end. That's the only real thing you can do with these animations. Unlike Adobe Premiere Pro, where we can do very complex keyframes, these are simple. So here's what we're going to do. I'm going to click on the end item, this ribbon, and when it turns blue, that's the one you're on. And I want to note this. The picture, as you see it, is in the exact location that I want. So that means the position, 332 and 197, is what I want. And the size is perfect. So 0.6 means it's 60% of the original size. So now let's go back to the start banner. Now this one, here's what I'd like us to do. I want this image to start off of the left side of this frame. So I can do a couple things. I can drag it, but when I drag it, even shift dragging, it won't go in a perfect straight line. So here's what I'm going to notice. My Y coordinate is 197. So I'm just going to drag this over to the left so it's off of the slide. And I'm going to make sure 197 was the Y value so it'll go in a straight line. At the same time, I want the scale to be all the way down to 0. Now, to test this, what you can do in this screen is press the play button. And you will see it comes out and resizes as it ends up into its final resting spot. Okay, I like the animation I did here, and so what I'm going to do is save changes. And now, even in my main timeline, if I press play, you will see the image is animating on. Now, let's go ahead and take care of the text. Now, just as a side note here, my title text here, this is already an animated text. This is a motion text. So if I double click and open up the properties, you're going to see up here, there is no animation feature. So this motion text is a special object you can add to your project, but you can't modify the animation. So now I'm going to go back to Mr. Holmes's text, and I'm going to double click and open up the text property. Now you will see, because this is static text, I have the animation tab at the top. Now we'll do the same thing here. I know that this is in the exact position I want it to end in, and it's the exact scale. So I'm going to click on the end, and just to point out that it is exactly in the position and scale that I want. So I'll go back to the start, and on this one, I'll have this start off on the right side of the screen. So notice 318 is how far down it is. Now I only do that because when I drag it, you can't shift drag and bring it into a nice straight line. So now it's off. I'll make sure it's at 318. And for the scale on this one, I'm going to leave it as is. I'm not going to modify the scale. So let's give this a little whirl. So you can see picture comes in from one side, text comes in from the other. Simple animation. All right. Now, I like my settings. If I didn't, in either and start, I can trash the settings that I had in there. So if I want to remove them and go back to what it was, you can actually do that. But I'm going to hit Save Changes. And then let's just give this a whirl in my normal timeline. And there is the animation sequence. Now, one of the last things that you're going to do for each of those slides is when you guys are editing, there's a reason why I ask you to put just a solid color background behind each image and text. So what we're going to do is we're going to show you one more cool feature that you can add as a background. So what I want you to do in this sample, we're going to double click on Mr. Holmes' picture. And of course, here's our animation. I'm going to have you guys go back to the Transform tab. Now, first of all, you will notice when you add an animation, it knows that on this tab. So if you had to do certain editing features underneath here, which is the scale and position, you'd have to remove the animation first. But what we're interested in is this option called blurred background. Now, this is really cool, especially if you have like a video that doesn't take up the full size of the frame. But here's what this does. I'm on Mr. Holmes' picture. I'm going to turn this blurred background on. So you can now see what it does. It takes the object you opened, blurs it, but stretches it out to fit the backdrop. So I'm going to hit play here, and you can kind of see the cool effect that it has as a little background. So I'm going to go ahead and hit Save Changes and go ahead and just run it once in the main timeline. So you can see the neat little effect that blurred has for the background.